Good morning, Facebook family. I know it's been a couple of days since I made one of these type of lives, but I guess I'll say what it says in the caption. What are you working on? What are you working on? Because what you're working on is what's working. Sounds crazy, but it's accurate. What you're working on is what's working. And I'm going to add to that. Inside of every person is three people. There is the person who you think you are. There is the person who other people think you are. And then there's the person who you really are. If you focus on the person who you think you are, you can come off as self-centered, arrogant. And if you look at it in a practical way, you might want to make improvements on yourself so you can become a better you. But if you focus on the person who other people think you are, you'll never be satisfied, you'll never be fulfilled, because you can never satisfy everybody all the time. And again, if you're worried about what other people think you are or who other people think you are, you'll never take the time to find out who you think you are and can make the necessary changes that you can be happy and fulfilled. Then there's the person who you really are. And my suggestion is that you go to God and find out what He's invested in you. That way you and God can come into agreement for the life that He intended for you to have, although that's your choice. But in either case, it comes down to what are you working on? Because that's what's working for you. If you're working on making other people happy and working on making sure everybody else is satisfied instead of you, you might have a problem. Thus, why you wonder why you always last, because you put yourself last. If you're always worried about somebody telling lies on you and all this, that, and the other, what about you? I remember when I had a real bad breakup, and I asked my ex, I said, how did you deal with that? And she said, Gene, you need to work on you. She said, that's how I made it through. I worked on me. And so for the last year or two, that's where my head's been, trying to figure out who I am, what I am, have some boundaries, some standards, have some idea, have some goals, have an idea of what's really going on with me. Because if I'm not any good, how can I be any good to anybody else? And once you set those boundaries and standards, you'll start to get a better perspective of you, and you'll start to like you. So again, if you're working on everything else but you might be working on something wrong. And if you're working on making everybody else happy, well, guess what? Whatever you're working on is working, because everybody else will be happy. But what about you? If you're working on making sure everybody else got what they want in life, and you never look at what you have, because God says that He would give you your desires. And God's desire is for us to have life and life more abundantly. I didn't read where He wanted you to give life and life more abundantly, because He said that's what I'll do. I'll give you life and life more abundantly. So are you turning your back on the things that God has given you or promised you or offered you so that you can be a God in somebody else's life? Think about it. I used to do that. I wanted to make sure everybody else in this world had what they had, needed what they needed. And I never paid attention to Gene. So I was working on everybody else being happy instead of Gene. Because no one can make me happy. Nobody but God. And I have to be willing to let Him do that. So that was just my morning thought. Time to get my day started. God bless all of you. Have a wonderful day.